Are you boys comfortable? You know, obviously we're in a podcasting type environment. Are you guys aware of how this all works, or is this new to you?
What's this thing here?
Yeah, so that's a microphone.
I'm very comfortable, Rog. Anytime we're with you and that infectious laugh you have, mate, I feel comfortable already. So I'm very excited.
Well, of course, you two boys are comfortable because you're DOS and D of the DOS and D pod. And I tell you, it's been an absolute joy to watch you boys grow because I feel we've been in contact for, a few years now. And at the start, it was sort of similar to what we're doing here. We're just starting out. We're chatting to good people, trying to make something grow. And now you're an image online that so many people have seen, and you've grown it into a full-time brand. So could you give me a bit of a quick synopsis for the people that are unaware at home of the DOS and D combo and how it's turned into the juggernaut it is now?
Go on, Dossie.
Gosh. Well, thanks for that nice intro,
appreciate that.
Rog. Like you said, we probably met, I reckon 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Probably a year into our podcast adventure. To cut it short, and we don't want to go all the way back too far, but two best mates, went to high school together, and you know everything about each other. There's a few stories there. So we started the podcast like every other 20-something does now, and started it in the bedroom of my spare bedroom of my apartment. And from then on in, it's just kind of been consistency. And I'm sure we'll touch on growing something and how to get it to where we've got it to, and we're still not where we want to be yet. But mate, we get to interview amazing people, and I get to do it with my best mate. That's kind of how I would say it. But now it's become a bit of a business, and brands are involved, and off the back of our own hard work. But it's pretty crazy.
How good is having a chat?
Mate, nothing better.
Having a chinwag, I don't know. What was your vision when you first started? Was it just to have a chat with good people and have a laugh and that's the end of it? Or did you actually envision that, hey, if we stick at this and we be consistent, eventually it can catapult us into something that is a full-time gig?
I think a bit of both, to be honest. So there's probably in the back of your mind, there's a little bit of hope that you could one day grow it to a level that you would see as internally you'd see as successful. But at the start, we just wanted to do something different against the grain. So we weren't happy in the jobs we were working in. We weren't really happy with probably the trajectory of our life, which is just the norm, to be honest. And we wanted to create something that would be a little bit different probably for us. We didn't know what that would be. Would that be business or content? Cutting a long story short, Dos was 2 episodes into his podcasting career. I was about to embark on mine, and then we decided let's just come together. So initially, we just wanted to start something against the grain. We grew up on the Mornington Peninsula.
Great part of the world.
Great
part
part
of
of
the
the
country.
world. It is, and I think we were kind of in that peninsula bubble. So we were almost like, probably at the start, how can we be this show for the Mornington Peninsula that touches on all things to do with males that all of us experienced growing up?
Yeah, we weren't interviewing early days.
No,
it was just us.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was just there's about 30 really, really poor episodes.
The first 30 episodes of any podcast are horrible, and you guys are like episode number 7. So be prepared for this to be a shit house.
But so that's really how it kind of started. And to cut a long story short, we somewhere along the line, about a year in, we decided to kind of take a further leap, which was let's actually move in together in the city, and then see how far we could take it. And that's when we started to very slowly grow our guest profile, start to invest back into the show, initially just out of our own pockets, taking days off our jobs, and then very, very slowly build it up to where it is today, which really it's only been the last probably 12 months where it's really kind of where now we're fortunate enough, we have a team behind us, we employ people, which is, we never thought we'd do that. The whole feel and style of the show is completely different.
What's that saying about it takes however many...
I think 90% of podcasts don't get past episode 25.
There you
Something
go.
like that.
Well, that makes
and if
a
you
lot of
do,
sense.
you're in like the top 1%.
So consistency, you would say... Well, I was going to ask, what is your biggest strength that has made you work? Would you say that it's just a consistency to keep plowing through? Or what is it that has made you achieve a goal that most other people can't when they start a podcast?
Exactly that. That's the one word that we've always probably pumped each other up with, because it can be a real, we still go through it, but it can be a real tough any content creation, how hard it could be. Not one, creating the content, but then two, putting it out there on a daily basis. And then three, if you're not getting any views or clicks, you got to keep creating that till it hits. And you're not guaranteed that hit.
Nah, not at all.
So that's the consistency part. It's just do it until it hits.
Just to give you a bit of, just to almost quantify that, we just released episode 250.
Unbelievable.
So it's 5 years, and it's been every Monday morning at 6 a.m. for 5 years. And
so you've raised the bat, fifth time raising the bat. Unbelievable scenes.
But the whole point was, for the first probably 100 episodes, no one really was listening. Yeah. And that's it. And there was no following, and there wasn't. I always try and think back, what was actually keeping us going? There's such small wins that actually go, we're getting somewhere. But if you zoom out, most people go, mate, you're not going anywhere.
Well, what did keep you going? Like they do say, the saying that I was looking for before, it's something along the lines of it takes 10 years to be an overnight success.
Oh, yeah.
What kept you going when nobody was watching and you're just going through all this effort, you're taking time off work, you're costing yourself money? What was it inside you both that kept you going?
Well, so when we were living together, to give you just a quick little backstory, his dad, Gary, was an entrepreneur, had his own event management business, really successful. Still does, sorry. Yeah, still does. But you were working for him then. Sorry, Gaz. And then my old man had an event management business too in the sports and entertainment sector.
Great.
So we've kind of always seen and wanted to do something for ourselves. Like we've both seen our dads do that. So obviously Dee's dad did it on his own, my dad did it on his own too, but we've had each other to do it together, and I feel like moving in together was the best thing we ever did, because we both were in relation. This isn't why we broke up with our exes at the time. Let's just preface that. It wasn't to go all in on this little Dos and D show. But
I would celebrate that. If you've departed with love for the sake of the podcast, if that's not a glowing endorsement, I don't know what is.
Mate, D would drive down to where I was living in Safety Beach. We'd record it on a Sunday, and I was with my ex-partner at the time, and I'd be saying, there's one thing I feel like I haven't scratched that itch, which is I'd love to live with a mate and go all in on this thing.
Yeah.
And we got to do that. And I reckon that's what's made it easier, is having each other to bounce off. When you're feeling shit, he picks me up a lot and goes, Dos, like, stop comparing yourself to every other big creator or podcaster, and vice versa sometimes. And
this happened this week. Like without going into we've actually, and you know what it's like in the content space. You have these like ebbs and flows where you have weeks where something just goes nuts and the downloads are going crazy and the followers are coming in and all your reels are hitting. And then the next week it's just back to like nothing. Or somebody might reject you to come on the show that you've been trying to get. And
got a lovely little text message the other night.
That's what I'm referring to. So we're on this.
We can't name drop.
We'll tell you off air, but quite a large figure.
Yeah.
We were
Eddie Maguire won it.
No.
He actually we got the opposite response from him. That's a little hint.
Yeah.
But but that's the thing. Like we actually have come off these 2 weeks of real highs, and then one little thing gets you, and you're like, fuck, like you're back in that kind of place. But we've got each other to bounce off, which we're really lucky. We're so fortunate for that.
You make it sound easy where you move in together, you have this accountability, and then you just hold each other to the same standard. But I've had it before where I got a mate move in. We were both chasing a dream at the time of stand-up, and we did a few gigs, and it was great. He kept on doing it. I dropped off, and it didn't quite work. So it's not quite as easy as just you move in together and you do it. But one thing that I've noticed out of that you alluded to there with the content game is you have these epic highs and then you have these lows where you're just not quite sure what you're doing.
Yeah.
How do you balance giving yourself a pat on the back for, have a look at this body of work we've done, these guests we've got, these conversations we've had, but also looking up at some of the biggest podcasts out there that everyone knows and listens to? How do you balance being proud and being hungry?
You go.
Oh, it's such a good question, because I don't actually probably have a perfect answer, because we feel probably both of those emotions all the time. So you have times where little things, I don't know, for me it sounds really weird. Like I was playing footy a couple of weeks ago and we finished a game and just the opposition, a couple of the boys come up, just go, by the way, I just love the podcast.
Oh, how good is that?
Like little things like that. And then that you almost go to another level when that kind of happens, And then you think, and then we go into this phase where you might have some big name guests and you're like, let's get everybody now, like, let's go hard. And you're almost not so grounded anymore. And then something like we're alluding to before hits you and then you're just straight back down to earth. So it's hard. I mean, for us, I don't know how you balance it. I think for us, I think the main thing is not comparing to where you want to get to. We always say, try and enjoy the now. And even we've talked about this recently, we still sometimes say, gee, remember when we were living together and love to go back to those days. And like, we're battling so hard. And we're making no money. But we kind of look back and go, oh, I'd love to go back there.
Yeah.
But at the time, we were striving so hard to kind of get, and if you told us then that we'd get to where we are now, we would have taken it like that and been so happy. But it's fun. Like, I'm probably not answering the question.
No, spot on.
We've had, when you have, we've done 250 episodes. I'm assuming over 200 of them are probably interviews.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many different people with different pieces of advice. And one bit of advice, I remember from Jules Lund, and he basically said, this might not be your thing, but it might lead you to your thing. I still believe this is our thing, but he said enjoy it because you're not going to get this time again. And then since that moment, I've really I've put in a lot of effort personally to try and just go, I'm living my dream right now.
How good's that?
Like, this is crazy. We're not the biggest, we're not the smallest, but we're doing it together. We're talking to some pretty cool people. It's getting some traction. We're getting paid for it. I'm happy with that.
Good, man.
Yeah.
Good. I think it's so important to stay present. It happens to me sometimes where I'll get this gig that makes everyone give me a pat on the back. Well done, Roger, you're killing it. But then it goes back to Monday and I'm driving a forklift in a fabric factory and, you don't post that on Instagram so people don't see that. And there are times where you can feel like a bit of an imposter. You're there going, everyone thinks that I'm a success or everyone thinks that I am killing it when really there are so many days where I'm feeling like I'm not. But then when I go back to the few days later, I'm with Kados and we're with some AFL player and we're doing a goal recreation challenge or, kids are pulling up on the street asking for photos and you go, holy shit, we're actually in it. Yeah. We're not, sometimes you can feel outside of it and like you're chasing it, but the reality is that we are in it and these are such vital years of our journey.
What's the quote? Did you watch The Office US?
Nah, I'm a UK man.
I'm a UK man too. I was actually watching
for a minute there. I was going to say, get the fuck out.
I'm a big Stephen Merchant and Ricky Gervais fans. I was actually watching Hello Ladies last night. Give that a watch.
Oh, is that on one of the X-rated websites for Hello Ladies?
Actually, it has been downloaded illegally. That's how I am watching it. But
incognito mode, John.
But there's a quote from Andy, is the character's name in The Office US, and he says, I wish there was a time where you could know that you're in the good old days. Yeah. So you have to enjoy the now because I always think there might be a time where we're not doing the show. I don't think there will be and I hope there's not, but when we're 50 or 60 and we've got kids and then grandkids and you go, oh, remember that? How good was that slog? Like I would do anything to be for example, there was a period of time in our studio and again, like you said, no one sees this shit. Everyone just sees the set and the lights and then the guest. And the clips and they're sponsored and things are happening. Mate, we're bumping into that studio and at one stage we'd get in there at 6 a.m. You got 5 interviews for the day. You're in there all day. The team and the boys are setting everything up and the couch, we had to chuck it in the back of my van. We had to go and get it from a storage place every single time we had
storage place being my grandmother's house.
Well, I didn't want to necessarily. I didn't know if that's what you wanted to share. His grandma lived nearby and said, "Store the couches at my house."
Does your grandma live at Storage King, or is like?
I was trying to be polite. No. I didn't want to give that away.
I've got a spare room. If she needs a place to stay, man, just yell out.
Maybe
that's also my bed at that couch.
Yeah. No, that's incredible though. The hard yards it takes to build it up to where it is now, but that is what makes it worthwhile. I think that if we didn't have these moments and we just got the magical tap on the shoulder at some random point in our lives that says, hey, Dawson D, I think you boys have talent. We want to get you on Channel 9 right now, or Gold FM, whatever it might be. It wouldn't feel the same way as the grind. The grind is what makes it all worthwhile in the end.
100%. Couldn't agree more.
What was your purpose when you started Dawson D? Was there anything sort of intrinsic in terms of you really believed in opening people up and getting conversations out of them? Was it as simple as I just want to have a good chat with a good person. Was there anything that actually drove you, or was it purely just to get outside your comfort zone perhaps and do something different?
Again, probably going back to the itch. Like when you have that itch, we were in our mid-20s, we were 25, and I don't know, there was no real ambition to get it to where it is, or to, have 3 guys working for us and, a team and producing, even the word content, I sometimes don't like using it because it's so overused.
Yeah.
But I think it was just we both wanted something more. We felt stuck, to be honest. We felt really stuck.
It's funny when you mention it's so relatable to me. 25, feeling stuck. I'm 27 now, and this is how this podcast was birthed primarily. I found that when you get towards your mid to late 20s, the compare game comes in big time. You have some mates that are already family, house, whatever. Not saying that's what I want per se, but when you see other people kicking so many goals, and I'm sure they have their own struggles as well, which, you only see the best of them too. But you see that and you go, fucking hell, like I'm getting to that age now where it's not just about being starry-eyed in your 18 to 21 year thinking you can take over the world. You're now getting to a point where you got to start really thinking about where you're going. And for me, it was a fork in the road. It was like, I had a good job in sales, a sales opportunity to earn a really good salary. And I was like, do I just take that? Like, maybe my skills that I think I have in terms of conversation and personality, getting the best out of people, maybe that's meant to be harnessed towards selling, and I can live the great Australian dream of having a beautiful house, beautiful kids, and off we go in the money. But ultimately, it just felt like I was doing so wrong by myself to take that option. And that's when I started the podcast and I went, I want to chat to like-minded people who have been through the grind. I had Tony Tenalia on, who's, she's middle-aged now. She's #1 lunchtime host on Gold FM. But I wanted to chat to people that have been through this struggle of the 20s, the uncertainty, and who stuck the path and who kept on going through. Did you ever feel at any point like you were going to quit?
I never felt there was ever a quit, but it's funny you say that because you ask about the purpose. The purpose initially was actually about navigating people through their 20s, basically. Coming out of high school, talking to young men, very self-developed-y kind of stuff. Our show is the complete opposite now. It's an entertainment show, and I think when we made that transition from a kind of a serious, wholesome, purpose-driven show to now it's almost shits and gigs some weeks.
Yeah, great.
Not always, but sometimes we go down that route. So Unpredictability. But going back to what you're saying too is about the 20s thing. We always say, we look at you at 27 and be jealous and go, fuck, we wish we were 27. We're both 30 now. But 30 is so young. But we always look at it as, we're so old. We're so far down the line.
What is that? Like, I get stuck in that mindset as well where I go, fuck, 30's approaching. It feels like I should have more figured out.
Yeah.
But realistically, like you said, people look at what we're doing and go, fuck, man, you're absolutely flying. You're killing it.
At 27, we were living together. For my 27th birthday, we were in the UK. Yep. We took the show right after COVID. Mate, we were tiny then. Had nothing, no real listenership, but we were like, we're in our late 20s. Let's go and travel. Let's take the mics. We interviewed a few people. And I freaked out about turning 30. It's still something, I'm not as much now, but I hated the thought of it because I thought exactly that. I thought, shit, I got to have, everything sorted out. Now I look and I go, you can actually do a bit of both. And there's nothing wrong with having a good job and creating content on the side and until that builds up. Or if people work a job and they just enjoy viewing and watching the content, that's fine too. I think we were pushing too hard early days, like, screw the man.
Yeah.
I'm glad we've kind of not come out of that, but I look back now.
They're the smart ones. They're the ones that wake up in the middle of the night with stress and thinking, how are we going to pay the bills?
I know.
And now we've got to sell ourselves again. But it's one thing that I think Dos and I relate to each other about, and we've actually probably never talked about this, but I reckon we both compare ourselves to, we talked about our dads at the start. We probably compared to where our dads were at the same age because we've probably grown up looking at what they've done, which in their own right is against the grain, built their own business, life on their terms. We're trying to emulate that. And we both had compliments, and this is not anything against our dads, but we both had compliments recently saying we're ahead of where they were at this age group, right? And that's almost like, it's you feel like you're not, but it's a nice little, I don't even know what the word is. It's just like a nice little reminder to kind of go, okay, well, we're on the right path. Things are moving in the right direction. And I sometimes look at it and go, okay, where do I want to be when I'm 35? Not where do I want to be when I'm 31? Because it's too close. But if by 35 I can get these ticked off, then the short term, the next 6 months, the next 12 months, those stresses kind of go away a little bit.
For sure, man. For sure. It's important to remember as well, when our dads were growing up, it wasn't like $4 for an avocado.
You were going to say that.
Yeah.
A mortgage was 80 grand. You could buy a house for 80 grand.
Yeah, like, of course they were ahead. They were fucking, it was like the stall gift, and they were about 400 metres in front of us. So
That's true.
Yeah.
Good point, Rog.
Yeah. Where do you boys get your biggest kick from? So I can imagine that for you land some of the biggest guests that I could ever hope to get. Just rattle off, I'm all for
How
it.
about you try rattle a few off?
I'm all for a name drop here. Well, lately, Hamish McLaughlin was absolutely sensational. Love that one.
Thank you.
And name a few more.
Good to hear you listen. Well, we've had Connor Rogers, Caden McDonald.
Yes,
That was a big one.
Well, did we have that? Because I remember when Connor Rogers
This
and
apparently
Caden,
was in the run sheet, so I'm looking forward to that.
Connor Rogers and Caden McDonald came in and the microphones weren't turned on.
We will
a malfunction on my old Mac. So
we will get to that, and that was a transition into upgrade. I mean, it's great. You've already got Daniel. I mean, we didn't have a Daniel back then, and wish we did, because that would have saved us many troubles. But I think what you're saying in terms of getting a kick, the way we do it now is we batch record once a month in our setup in the city, and on that day our team come in. So producer, videographer, editor, they all come in, and then us. It's kind of cool now because we don't do setup anymore. The boys bump in, we go off, we have a planning meeting together about the day ahead. Typically there's 4 episodes to film that day, and then the guests come in one by one. And when they're people you genuinely look up to, it's so exciting. And that you talk about filling your cup. Those are the days where we're just on top of the world, because the guests come in, you do the podcast, but then you talk shit for a while. Sometimes there's like little sponsor stuff you kind of have to do, which is typically, it might be golf putting or something, just fun stuff. But it's that connection with those people. And then every time we leave that, we're always on the phone within half an hour of leaving the place, just recapping the day.
Great.
And then the other 29 or 30 days of the month it's admin. It's bookkeeping. It's going back and forth. It's trying to get guests. It's trying to get sponsors. It's running the business side of what we do, which is a whole cattle fish, which is totally different to the content side. That's every day. And then the one day a month when we go in. So at the moment we've been talking, we're like, how do we get that feeling every single day? That's like the ultimate goal. How can we actually be creating day in and day out, and everything else is taken care of? Or what are your thoughts?
No, that's spot on. I was just going to probably touch on action. Like we get a kick obviously about, I just love being able to, best friends, being able to on the phone pretty much every day, on the message every day. When something good happens, you text or ring each other. Those are the kicks I get. Yeah, probably the most is
when you're reflecting with each other. Yeah,
or just get to celebrate together. And celebrating isn't like having a big night or going out for lunch or it might not be visually celebrating. It's actually the capitals in text going, fuck yeah. Like, that shit.
The fist pump.
Yeah.
When it's like you're alone in the car, or maybe you with each other, or I'm with Kate, whatever it is, you're like, let's fucking go. Yeah.
I do these ones. I'm like, come on.
The moment a guest says yes, or a brand says yes, or something gets signed off, like they're those moments where you go nuts. And I mean, without...
what are some of your biggest ones? Your biggest fuck yeah? It's like...
Well, I remember last year we had the opportunity to interview Howie at Listener, but it all came about, it was very lucky because he's got such a busy schedule that he probably has 3 days of the year where he can actually go in and do it. And it was right at the end of the footy season, going into cricket season. He was about to go overseas. We got given a 1 hour, like if you can come here at this time, we can kind of make it happen. And I remember when the email came through, because it came from him personally, saying, boys, love what you're doing.
We got an email and someone told him about us and that we were interested. So then he replied to us.
Gotcha.
And then just seeing the name appear and let's do it. And does this time work? That's like a big,
Mate, absolutely.
There's been a lot of, who are some of the other guests that we've had that?
Sam Newman was one for me.
Great.
Sam Newman.
Was there any, someone like Sam Newman, such a polarizing figure? I love him a bit because he single-handedly changed the whole trajectory of my life.
Yes.
You were a panelist on
Yeah,
that show.
on the footy show. And if it wasn't for Sam's mailbag, I would not be sitting here opposite you blokes now. So I love him for my own reasons. But he's obviously a very polarising figure. If you get someone like him on, is there a conversation around, could this polarise the crowd? Or,
it's a great question.
Do we get him
It's
on?
an awesome question. Yeah. My opinion's probably changed on this quite a lot. I was always very conservative and always thinking, how do we please everyone? Because we're such people pleasers. I've been brought up a people pleaser. It's how my dad probably did business a lot of the time too, is, the customer's always right. So for us, let's create content that everyone's going to like and ask the questions that everyone is going to like, and including the guest. Like, not disrupt him, Whereas, cutting a long story short, I think how we've probably gotten through the cracks a little bit and maybe to where we are is maybe changing that a little bit more and not being so, I don't want to say, I don't know if vanilla is the right word, but not being afraid to have an opinion and ask for their opinion too. Like, that's something that I've always struggled with.
Ask tricky questions.
Right.
And not be, if someone doesn't agree who watches it, that's fine. And one thing we learned, we haven't really name dropped, but Jace Hawkins.
Jason.
Host of Jason Lauren.
Jason PJ, which I love now. Jason Lauren, which I also love.
Exactly.
Taking over. Colin Jackie O. Go and get stuffed.
He gave a piece of really good advice only a couple of weeks ago when he came on the show, and he just said, don't fence it. Never fence it, because it's like watching paint dry. No one's going to want to listen to it. And you mentioned like the polarizing figure like Sam. I probably used to worry about what people might think, because a lot of people don't like him, but that's okay.
But it blew up. And when we announced, we put a photo teaser up week before he dropped it, and there was a lot of our original followers that thought we were very politically correct, not saying anything wrong. And they some of them abused, like literally said,
really?
How could you have him on when you've had this person on and blah, blah, blah. But then it's when you see the downloads and the views and the TikToks and everything, then you go, well, that speaks for itself. The only thing that I'm starting to kind of, it's like a good problem to have, but it's becoming a real problem is now that we are backed by there's a handful of companies that actually do obviously advertise and sponsor on our show. So we do have to ask the question occasionally to them, hey, this person's coming on. And that's a question they ask us before they sign a deal. Hey, if we don't like somebody, can we get out of that one episode? Which is always yes. Like last year we had a politician on the show, so we had to go and just ask, is this okay? We've had people like OnlyFans creators on the show. We have to ask the brands.
Have you still got their numbers?
Yes, we do.
I've been looking to expand.
I don't think you'd have any issue in that world.
No, I'm looking to expand the Rod Show clientele.
That's a good way to get viewers fast.
We found out that's an easy way to get clicks.
But yeah,
I've got YouTube blokes on.
I know, mate, you're wasting your time.
You'll take your stopper.
But yeah, mate. Like now, moving forward, sometimes you have to ask yourself, can we have this person, or what's a detriment? Because it sounds like very wankery to say this, but now when you look at things as a business, you actually work out, okay, cost per show or how much we make per show versus how much we're going to spend per episode. And then if you lose that because of a guest, what's the repercussions of that? Can you get a brand on board? Like, let's use OnlyFans as an example. If you get somebody like that on, all right, can you go and get brands in the adult entertainment world to come on board for one episode, but then what does it do to your other sponsors? It's like a bit of a juggling, that's kind of where we're sort of going to now.
Well, it's a cool problem to have. It's cool to have options, and it's cool to do that. But ultimately, I think with someone like Sam Newman, I think it's so much better to speak to them and hear their side, especially when it's not on a TV show where they've only got a 2-minute spot to be as polarising as they can. When they speak to you on a much more human level, and you can actually get inside someone's head.
100%.
I think that's such a more healthy way of going about it than censoring and pretending like they don't exist and ignoring them. 100%. And then I think it's better off hearing the voices of everyone, and then everyone can make their own mind up.
I hate censorship.
And in today's modern world, it's all clickbait. So all you see is the 20 seconds of Sam's opinion. Whereas if you go and listen to our full episode, at one point he's actually opening up and he actually shed a tear talking about his wife, his late wife, right? So people are quick to jump on and comment what an arsehole he is, and how dare you have him on your show. But at the same time, though, did you actually go and listen and get and hear his full story, who he is? No, it doesn't look like you did.
One interesting part too, Rog, was he did make a comment probably a week before the episode went out that went nuts in the news. It was to do with booing of Welcome to Country.
Ah, yes.
And people just put two and two together and said that was said on our show, which it wasn't.
Oh, really?
We didn't go there. We weren't interested in that. So then we're getting all of this. We're like, well, go and listen. You go and tell us where the evidence of that is. It's not in our show.
No.
I mean, it did help the views.
It did help
Of course.
the views. Yeah.
I might need to get Samuel on here myself.
Oh, you should.
Funny story about Sam Newman when, I won't get into the whole story of how as a little prepubescent Asian virgin I got onto the footy show myself, but I did. And I walked in, and before you do the show, everyone has dinner at catering. There's Gary Lyon and James Brayshaw and John O'Brien and Jack Riot, who was on the panel that week. And all of them are coming up to me, "G'day, Connor. Billy Brownless was the best. Connor, great to meet you." I'm looking at my idols, shaking their hand. Sam, it was like he didn't even know I was there. And I was there thinking, oh, fuck, maybe he is the arsehole they make him out to look like on TV. Or maybe he doesn't even know who I am. He hasn't read the run sheet. He doesn't know I'm going on the show. For all he knows, I'm the kid of someone in catering and he's got bigger fish to fry. So I'm in catering for about half an hour to an hour. Then I get my little suit on and we stand at the entranceway. You know when they say, the 300 gamer from Geelong, John Sammy Newman, he walks out. So they're doing all the intros for all the players. I'm waiting my turn, nervous. Sam Newman still hasn't said a word to me. I don't think he knows my name. I don't think he knows I exist or why I'm there. Anyway, sure enough, Gary Lyon or Jimmy Brayshaw go, "Please welcome the 300 gamer from Geelong, John Sammy Newman." And right as he's about to walk off, he's taking his first stride. He turns to me and says, "Don't fuck it up, Connor."
I think I've heard you say that. Yeah.
You wouldn't believe how much that alleviated the pressure. Me, like 12 years old, and he said it with a grin on his face. I knew he was having a laugh, but I think he's an absolute.
That's a ripper.
We've only got nice things to say about him. Yeah.
And all I guess.
Yeah, so we did touch on it earlier, but, sort of laptop gate or microphone gate.
Laptop gate, I like that.
Whatever it may have been, Dos and I, years ago now,
that's KDOS, isn't it?
Yeah, KDOS, sorry. Yes, good.
Yeah.
Yes,
there's a bit of a mixture.
That's why you're the professional here. Caden McDonald, my best mate, YouTube extraordinaire. Not to be confused with Wade Os, one half of Dos and D.
Yes.
We came onto your podcast, which was exhilarating, awesome. We chat for over an hour. It was just such a great discussion. But 3/4 of the way through, you'd swear sort of an earthquake had hit the building because I see panic stations from the two boys standing opposite me.
Was it during ep or was it post? I think it was post.
Was it post?
Yeah. Dos has been known in the early days, so we used to literally run the show off a laptop before we had
the old garage band.
Literally, so it was so touch and go. If you accidentally flicked the mic like that, it could all turn apart. That's not the right. Fall apart.
Yeah.
And I'd sat next to him many times before where he knew that the episode wasn't recording, but he didn't want to talk about people pleasing, didn't want to tell the guest.
Oh, right, so you record a whole fake episode.
Until the guest would leave, and then we'd have to ring him and say, "Can you turn around and
give
come
one
back?"
guy a shout out, Chris Dalmo. He owns a gym on the peninsula. Great bloke. And we did it at my mum's house at the time.
Yeah.
And we thought, it's a beautiful day outside. Let's actually do it outside.
Yeah.
Little did we know.
In the industry, in the radio industry, they call it an OB.
That's it. Outdoor broadcast.
Little did we know that the temperature levels can affect the function of the Mac.
Really?
Which means garage
How old
bands.
were you filming on Mars? How fucking old was it?
There was no umbrellas. There was no
I couldn't
protection,
believe
just
it.
in the
But
sun.
the laptop overheated and it stopped recording. And I just didn't. I thought, fuck this. I'm not saying anything. It was halfway through, and then we said goodbye to him, and then we messaged him later. I said, "Mate, we need to do it again." And I think he was like, we went into his gym a week later, brought him a slab, and he was stoked with it. But mate, early days, a lot of fuck ups.
But what I'd be delighted, Rog, if this actually goes to air, because like I said to you, driving here today, I worked out that every time we all meet up and there's any kind of anything involved, only 25% of it makes it to the air. So there was a time you guys came in and yet graciously came back a few weeks later and redid a podcast. A few months after that, Dos and I decided we're going to create a Creator World Cup soccer video, which I know there's other stories there, but it was you and KDOS, Dos and D, and then the Shepmates were there, film all day. all the footage got lost, so none of that ever saw the light
I
of day.
scored the volley of the century. It was like I couldn't hit a ball cleaner in my life. Outside, I think Archie or Miles did as well.
Yeah.
But this volley from outside the box to win, and I've gone off as if I've just won the World Cup myself.
And the funniest thing about that was I was standing in goals when that happened, so I was mesmerised. I literally, because with all due respect, Rod, you weren't hitting them that clean for the whole day. A lot of them, I was goalkeeping, so they were kind of rolling
I
along the
blame
ground.
Dosso's throws, but yeah, no, you're right.
They were kind of just rolling, and then you just hit this worldie where where I'm standing, it was gliding in the air, and I couldn't judge. I just had to watch it, and it went top bins, top corner.
Yeah.
Like it almost floated like left, right, left, dip.
It was the knuckleball.
It was
Yeah,
a
it was a
knuckleball. It was insane. And then anyway, but the funniest thing about that is the one kick before you hit that miraculous one. Dosh runs across. He goes, "Hang on, boys, hang on," and takes the camera, which was directly behind you as a kicker, face onto the goals, and decides, "I'm going to move this so it's actually front on the kicker."
No.
So when we went back and looked at the footage, all we saw was celebrations because there was you would never have seen what I saw.
That's why we're podcasters and not YouTubers.
but that was a second fuck up. But then last year, only a few months ago, I think you booked out the whole, is it Lido Cinema in Hawthorne for a FIFA night. And then a day...
We're thoroughly looking forward to this
and
too.
then
So was I.
hours before that event took place, I think we're all scrambling for a console, which I thought would have been the first thing we tick off.
So
and then,
just quickly, I booked out a whole cinema, Lido Cinema, and it was one where if everyone chips in $20, we can book out a whole cinema, whatever it was. And instead of putting in 20, we'll put in 50. Winner takes all. 16 blokes to celebrate the start of the World Cup. A big bracket, and we're playing on the big screen. And I thought, how good is this going to be?
I think you and I I think I drew you in the first round.
Yeah, we were
going to go.
set to
there
be
was a bit- there was a
foes.
bit
You
of
would have gone with Crystal
Oh,
Palace.
you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. Like,
We need to
should
do
still
it. We need to do it. Well, we were so keen, mate. We actually rang up our venue and asked, can we move this? It wouldn't have been the same result. But what I'm saying is the only time that's 3 times that events have never
So
actually
the
gone
cinema, but so it got to the night before. I've locked everything in. I locked everything in weeks in advance, and the cinema goes to me the night before when I ring them. Hey guys, sorry to tell you, but we've double booked the cinema.
Yeah, we've got a 9 p.m. showing.
No bueno on the FIFA tournament.
Yeah.
So.
That was devastating.
Yeah, that was funny actually. Dee was like, "No, I want this to happen." And he rang our venue to try and get it, but didn't eventually.
Well, hopefully this one does go to air, and we'll
Sure
bank
will.
on it.
Sure
Danny
will.
Allen, I think he's got everything under control
he
over
does,
there. We
he
can
does.
trust on him.
Like I said, we didn't have him back then. We wish we did.
Speaking of FIFA, getting
Oh, yeah.
away from Dawson D as
Yeah.
much as I love you boys
let's
and
move
the
away
journey
from it.
we've been on. Did you boys happen to see the mighty Crystal Palace
Oh,
Eagles?
well, I actually was going to say how long is it going to take for you to bring this up? Because I know you're a passionate Crystal Palace fan.
Full-blown nuffy.
A massive congratulations for the FA
you,
Cup.
boys.
Well
You had
done.
the whole world behind you too.
I
though.
know.
Yeah, no one wanted to see a Man City FA Cup. Another one.
Not
So-
sure why Haaland didn't take the
I
penalty.
know.
but
Well, apparently he's missed a couple of his, two of his last 6 or something
you'll
like
take
that.
it. What did you think of the war of words with Pep as well?
Loved it.
Yeah.
Because Dean Henderson, our keeper, he is like such... One thing about the Crystal Palace group, it's full of personalities, which I love. Like, even in their own awkward way, some of them, but everyone has a distinct personality. And I think that's so important when building a team in any industry is to have not NPCs.
Yeah.
You can have nerds, but as long as they own being a nerd, be a nerd. Like, you want personality. I think that brings it all together.
Well, I was wrapped because I'm a QPR fan, you may
Yes.
remember. Eze.
Absolutely.
So it's just a
true.
nice little, and for what that means for QPR, if he goes and gets a bigger deal,
Yeah.
QPR
Hopefully
get
not.
a little bit of
Hopefully
a,
stays.
hopefully not, but QPR get a bit of a cutback from that.
Isn't
So
that nice?
So just for your reference to the people not completely aware, Crystal Palace Eagles, the ultimate underdog. 3 times they've gone into administration, which is a sporting version of bankruptcy. It looked like they were going to fold completely together. 3 blokes, Crystal Palace millionaires, fans, bought the team. They called it CPFC 2010. 3 fans bought the league. And when you go into administration, you lose 10 points on the table.
Yeah.
So we went from being stable in the championship to in the relegation zone. And if we went down to League One, the way the finances were, we were going to fold as a club. On the last day, we survived. We managed to survive. And somehow from there, we got promoted into the Premier League. We've been there for 14 years or something. It's our longest stint. And now to go from the point of financial ruin on the brink of folding to FA Cup winners against Manchester City, the ultimate underdogs, it was the one moment in my sporting life, keep in mind I'm a Carlton supporter.
Yeah.
The one moment in my sporting life that made it all worthwhile to be a sporting fan.
They'll make movies about it.
How good is sport? I saw, you would have seen it, Roger. After the game, obviously there's different media outlets doing interviews with fans. And I saw this clip of an older guy. He would have been in his late 70s, I reckon.
Yeah. Well, we're 160 years never winning a trophy. So
Yeah.
70, he's not
And
seen any.
he was in tears, and he was just saying, I genuinely I never thought I would ever see one while I was alive. So when you hear stories like that, you go, geez, like, why do we put ourselves through so much fucking pain?
I know. I was at a pub in the city for the Crystal Palace game, and it's like 2 a.m. the game starts here. And just through divine miracle, I had a couple mates at a party down the road. I was at a music festival with a few of my mates earlier on in the day, and it ended up being me with half a dozen people of my closest mates, none of them support Crystal Palace, in this pub. I don't know if you saw the videos.
I saw.
Packed full of Crystal Palace fans. You wouldn't believe there were that many in Melbourne or possibly in the world. Crammed in, and the noise, the atmosphere, the vibe, the passion, the electricity cannot be replicated in any other walk of life. You get a great promotion at work, or Dawson D, congratulations, you've got bloody Eddie Maguire coming on, whoever it may be. You've got Cristiano Ronaldo coming on. Your celebrations will still not be as rambunctious.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I mean, 100%. I'm lucky. I'm a Doggies fan.
Yeah.
And
you had it. You've had your moment.
I've had my moment, but more than 17 years, mind you. It was a long, long time. But, mate, that was fucking one of the most emotional days of my life.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, you know, I love how much we love sport. It's good.
We love sport.
Yeah.
Here's a big cheers to sport.
Yeah.
Good. Well done.
Well, it's
Cheers.
funny because I've just associated.
D's a bit of a fake.
I used to be the biggest Saints nuffy ever, and now I'm totally just. You wouldn't even know. I literally don't have a team anymore.
Well, I'm protesting Carlton currently. Yeah. Literally, it's a silent protest. I've talked about it on the Blue Abroad channel, but because of how poorly we're travelling for so long, for the first time in my life, I've taken a silent protest. I'm not going to the game. I used to just roll into the game. I don't even think about it. I'll just roll into the game. Silent protesting. You've disappointed me for too long. It's your job to win me back.
Yeah, I like that.
D's got a bit, I don't know if it's an issue, but it is a bit of a running, I don't know if it's gag or frustration from him to me, but I'm a real Doggies nuffy. I love the Western Bulldogs. I love it.
It's flying this year.
And,
my boy Matty Kennedy's just doing
I know,
good
you
stuff.
must be shattered to see
deeply.
him.
He was
I'm
my
happy
boy
because
as well.
Cooper Lord's a mate, so I'm glad he's.
Really?
Yeah.
But he gets very frustrated at how I say we. You know, we lost on the weekend or we won on the weekend. Oh, geez, we're in good form. I reckon we're premiership favourites. And he goes, mate, you did nothing. What? You didn't contribute. You have a membership, but mate, you're not in the coach. You're not in the coaching panel. You're a member. You're paying.
It's gonna
member.
make you sound like such a shit.
No,
bloke.
but it's your identity.
I know it's more of a laugh, but he's right because we can't do anything. We have no
100%.
control. And we've been at so many footy games together, and he'll say something and go, "Oh, Dos, they're 5 goals up, mate. You're laughing." And I'll turn to him and go, and I'll go, did you really just say that?
Yeah. As if you've changed the fabric of the universe.
It was prelim night 2021 where the Dogs were smashing Port Adelaide. They were so far ahead, and I said, "Oh, they're home. And he was raging in the eyes. Port kicked the next goal, and he just looks at me in silence. I'm panicking, and I just said, "I just hope they win, just to prove that me saying that has no effect whatsoever on the outcome."
It does though. Whether it literally does or not, inside the four corners of our brain, it does. It does have a massive impact.
Oh, God.
Before we completely wrap up, boys, I want to just touch on the show one more time because you have done 250 bloody episodes. Of those 250, has there been one moment, one episode, one person, whatever it may be, that has been particularly profound to you that perhaps you reflect on from time to time?
Good question.
You know what the tragedy of it all is? And I'll answer your question. I'm not stalling, but I will answer your question. But
Thanks for stalling for me.
But this is actually the sad reality of it. So we name dropped a few people before, and they come in, or we go to them, depending on, and we record this episode. You go through the editing process. We're not even really involved in the editing process anymore, but you go through that. But then the second that's released, we need to get on to next week's episode. Yeah. And then the week after. And you don't actually sit, like, we interview people that we would have said, if we interview that person, we'll just retire and we're done. You know, we're just happy. But you sit in it for so little that it's kind of gone. And it sounds bad. Like, I'm always thinking about who's next. So to answer your question, I mean, Dos talked about him earlier, but Jules Lund, he came on our show, and it's one of my, I think you're the same. It's one of our favourite episodes ever for so many reasons. There's laughs, there's tears, there's hilarious stories, but there's amazing takeaways as well. And he talks a lot about Jim Steins and their relationship. Really? And what it helped me self-reflect a lot on what, in this whole pursuit of trying to get to the next level and the next level and the next level, and it's never ending. You know, we've come to the terms now that we're never going to be satisfied where we're at. Doesn't matter how many followers, how many downloads, who you have on, you're always going to strive for more and more and more. But it can actually literally kill you.
Yeah.
It sounds morbid, but he talked about Jim Steins and that constant pursuit, and it in the end was the death of him. And if you don't, and Jules was going down a similar path himself. He was getting TV and radio and just burning himself out and going for the next thing and going harder and harder and harder until he just became, for 2 years, he just could barely leave bed. Getting a coffee would be a win because he's just so drained and done. And even though we're on a much, much, much smaller scale, I could see that becoming us if we weren't. It's almost like a warning. It's almost like it goes back to the enjoying it. So to talk about profound moments, that's the one that stands out for me.
Mate, it's one that I resonate with so greatly because, it's something my family like to bring up, maybe my housemates as well, is you need to relax. Like, you don't relax. Like, I'm working during the day, trivia at night, podcasting on the weekends, playing footy, and always feeling like you're not where you're at. You're not currently where you want to be. So unless you're tirelessly working day and night, you're not worth it because you're not giving it everything you can. And you can burn the candle at both ends. So I think it's an important takeaway is to just stop and relax sometimes.
Especially from someone you look up to. Yeah. Like, it's one thing, you hear it all the time. I've heard that message so many times, but it felt like he was talking to us. And when it's someone you truly, truly admire and you would take, if they said you could have their career, would you sign? You'd almost just sign. To hear that was profound.
Wow.
What about you?
On that point, a podcast that I love listening to, Modern Wisdom, Chris Williamson, and he's more of a philosophical and personal development. And he's grown his show to enormous, like it's just huge. But he talks a lot about one, celebrating the wins, which we've mentioned earlier, but two, getting yourself out of the operations and into the creativity part of what you want to do. So for us, for so long, we've been in the thick of this operating, whatever we're creating and operating, we're all hands on deck, like all the time, 24/7. But to get out of that and to do the stuff that you want to do, which is maybe do more, for us, we love doing guest reach out or guest research or doing a lot more sponsorship meetings and potentially creative ideas and ideas away from the show. But sometimes going for the morning walk or going and having a hit of tennis or going and having a beer with a couple of mates, going to the footy, seeing your family on a Wednesday night when in your head you're probably thinking, I should be editing or I should be doing this. Like those things are actually what going to make you perform better in that other part that you're doing. And I feel for so long, and I know we've both struggled with it, and I would say D more so than me because he's probably the hardest worker I've ever met, is what we do is amazing and great, and it's awesome to put out a product that we're passionate about and we want to be really good, but it shouldn't be at the detriment of your own well-being.
The real things that make it worth it.
Exactly right. Yeah. And sometimes taking the dog for a walk in the morning, instead of getting on your phone straight away and looking at emails is actually what you should be doing. And it's better for your longevity in the whole game. And that's something that I'm trying to do a lot more of is going, you know what, like if it's a Dawson D day, like D will go and get his hair cut at 11 o'clock, on a Thursday because he can. But that's good for him because that gives him confidence, makes him feel good, and for the rest of the afternoon, he's good. I know it's a terrible example.
No, it makes sense, boys. You got to look after yourself.
Dos has actually taught me a lot in that space because I had the wrong, which I realise now is a wrong approach to it, which was like, again, I still believe nothing substitutes hard work in terms of that's the key ingredient to everything. However, there is such thing as working smart. There is such a thing as who, not how, which is Dos is big on. So it's getting people to come in.
Dan the man.
Yeah. Dan the man.
To do a better job than he can do a better job than any of us can, which makes your product better. And yes, it obviously comes with time because you got to make the money to be able to invest it back. But at the same time, like I would always struggle with the thought of like the haircut example is a good one. I would try and get a haircut. It's a dumb example, but it has to be after hours.
Yeah.
Like it can't be like I muted all my.
You feel guilty. You
Yeah,
feel
you
guilty
should.
when you're not driving yourself towards where you want to be.
Yeah, exactly. It's a guilt factor. Anyway, but DOS is really, really good at
Well,
that.
at the end of the day, like, what have you actually? How many steps have you moved forward, or how much of the mountain have you moved by ticking everything off that checklist that you needed to check off? Probably not that much. Like you've replied to the emails, you've made a couple of phone calls, you've sent some Instagram DMs to some potential guests. Like nothing is. We haven't been. Like Dee said before, we're not doing heart surgery. Like we could be sometimes that haircut or that walk, or it actually helps you do those bigger tasks more efficiently.
I am doing some heart surgery. That's why I'm so out of time. I'm just trying to balance everything.
But sorry, my favourite guest, I'd probably say the earlier yes. Sorry, I don't know how we got to that.
Nah, that's fine.
I'm going to probably give our earlier yes a bit of a shout out.
Yeah,
I'm going to go back to the London trip.
I knew you were going to say this.
Did
Well
you?
done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Glad you're going to say this.
Yolanda Charles. So Yolanda Charles was...
Not the one I was expecting.
Who
But
do
well
you think?
done.
Do you think I was going to say Ryan?
I thought you were going to say Ryan, but talk about
So Yolanda Charles, bass player, and basically it was right after COVID. We thought we need to get out of our house. Let's take a jump. So borders were still pretty much only just being open.
Yeah, we were almost the first plane
So it
out.
was right in the thick of COVID. Our parents thought we were crazy. Like
And just a backstory, at the time on that show, we were always talking about going against the grain, and our whole thinking then was, let's prove it. Let's actually go and do what no one else is doing.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
got 1,000 followers.
Not even.
Sent some DMs to potential people in the UK, and a couple of them said yes. And we're like, well, let's just book the tickets and go.
Yeah.
So Yolanda was a jazz bassist, but she's known for doing a lot of massive projects. Are you a Robbie Williams fan?
Oh, mate, am I
So
a
she
Robbie
was-
Williams fan?
She was Robbie's bass player at Nebworth.
Oh,
right?
you're kidding. The
Yeah.
greatest figure of all time.
Exactly
Like
right.
1,000 people, yeah.
So that was enough for us to go book the plane tickets.
Yeah.
So we went over there and we booked this like multi-purpose, what was it? Like a meeting room space, those
Yeah.
spaces. Got the tube to, where was it?
It was the opposite side of Palace. It was North London.
Okay. We did a few interviews there, but I'm probably just going to more or less say them for the experience. Yeah,
That's
that it gave
awesome,
us.
man.
Yeah.
That's great, boys. It's so awesome to see two lads who have stuck at it, being consistent. You are, in so many ways, the gold standard of what I'm trying to achieve. And I know that might sound ridiculous because you guys might be there going, oh, well, we're not Dylan friends, we're not this. But you two boys are a model of consistency, which is the one thing I'm looking after or looking to get after. So I'm bloody stoked to have you on. Proud to call you both
Just
mates.
before you wrap up, we need to say the elephant in the room really quickly.
Yeah.
We really appreciate those kind
Yeah.
words. But for so many years, Dos and I have been so embarrassed because we just feel like every time we've had anything to do with you or K-Dos, it's just been completely amateur hour.
Yeah, I know.
Nothing gets out. Things fall apart. We delete hard drives. We don't turn the mics on. So we've always felt that, oh, fuck, we always look like such amateurs in front of them.
Well, I think highly of you boys
Appreciate
regardless.
that,
That's
thank
what we
you.
think.
Kados, you
But-
can't speak for, but
But we are trying something new to close the show.
Oh,
Rather
yes.
than just a lovely goodbye and a kiss on the cheek.
wait, is this a first?
This is a first.
Oh, yes.
Yes, it's a first. Episode
it.
7. It's who you got. So I'm just going to give you two options. Which you fancy? What's better?
Oh, I like it.
Just a nice little who you got.
A bit of this or that, kind
Bit of this or that.
You have to answer first this time.
What do I always answer second?
No, I answered first.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so you can go first.
All right.
Throw
The
you on.
first
Yeah.
little bit of bickering I've seen between the
You're
live
falling
couple.
apart.
Oh, no, tension's
This is
flaring.
what who you got does to people. All right. This is what I
Okay,
need.
who you got?
I want to drive a wedge between you.
Go
All
on,
right.
Dossie.
Who you got?
Go on, Dos.
A hot shower on a cold day or mum's lasagna?
I had a lasagna from my mum about 3 weeks ago, and I'm going to go the lasagna.
Wow, so that might be recency bias.
Maybe.
When was the last
Maybe.
time you had a hot shower on a cold day?
Actually, I had one last night, not this morning. So
Could I make a slight adjustment to that question? If you made it a hot bath on a cold day,
Whoa, a bath man.
he loves a bath.
Wow,
Bit of Epsom salts.
I haven't had
Talk about a curveball. Holy shit.
Bath bomb.
I haven't had a bath. I haven't lived in a place that I've had access to a bath for probably 5 years, but back in the day, I had a bath every single night. Every single night. When I'd listen, for 3 or 4 years, I used to pluck my arm hairs in a bath, put a podcast on, and I'd sit there for an hour. And
How good is a bath?
Did you ever sit there in the bath plucking your arm hairs go, oh, this is so much better than mum's lasagna?
Yeah, exactly. Mum's a great cook. I hope she doesn't hear that part, but yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad you could. I was actually a little bit offended when you suggested it changing the questions. I
Yeah.
thought, it's not the Dawson D pod today, boys. It's the Rock pod. But
I write the rules.
All right, next up. Who you
more.
got? Yeah, I've got 3 here.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Cool.
Who you got? When the commentator on the telly repeats what you've just said at home,
Oh, that's the worst.
or when you finally kiss your crush for the first time.
I tell you what's funny. I always think I'm the only person in the world when I'm watching TV and I call something that happens.
Yeah.
I feel like I to
Gosh,
myself,
it icks people out.
I always think, I know my shit. I don't think it happens to anyone else.
I'll do a head wobble and a finger point.
And what feeds the ego more is when you're watching it with family.
Yeah.
And my sister will say, "Geez, you just knew.
Yeah,
How
how
did you
does
know
that?
that?" And I go, "Well, I just know."
So you're going.
Gee, that's a hard one. I'm going to go that one.
Yeah, good call, man.
Because the first kiss with the first crush was terrible. So
Was it?
Was it
Too
though?
much tongue, not enough tongue.
probably not enough. Yeah.
Yes, always the way.
No, I'm taking the opposite because when I say something and the commentator says it actually annoys me so much. It's like when someone steals your joke.
Oh,
It pisses
really?
me
You
off.
think it's thievery?
Yeah, yeah.
You think
So-
you've
so I'm
copyrighted
taking-
the commentary.
So I'm taking that first kiss of a
crush.
Yeah.
What was
I
her
like
name?
I don't, no, anyway.
It might be to be confirmed.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
Well,
not
it is to be confirmed. There's no one in the picture at the moment, I can assure you.
All right. And
Last
lastly, an outdoor no hands drunken piss after a night out when you get home.
Hey, wait. An outdoor, no hands,
you know, when
drunken
you
piss.
just in your
Yeah,
garden.
Think about when we were in Hawthorne, you come in with a big box of KFC and your pants around your ankles in the middle of the night.
Wow.
That's what we're talking.
that's a dream to me. Or the first season of Prison Break.
well, this is an easy one because I've never seen the first season.
Oh,
I've never seen
really?
Prison Break.
I was going to say, I've never seen the first season, but I've watched the third a couple of times. That's a good point.
I've never seen Prison Break at all. And I know what his answer will be too.
Yeah, I don't watch TV.
He doesn't watch
Oh,
movies, mate.
really?
Yeah, I watch.
He's never seen.
I rotate the same 5 movies.
He's never
on.
seen.
Who are you? All you do is bubble
This will
bath
shock
and you
you.
don't watch the telly.
He's never seen Home Alone.
Oh, you're kidding.
Oh, mate, you can name almost.
Have you ever been on planet Earth when it's Christmas time?
Yeah, I know. He's never seen Elf. I know you've seen
No,
Elf.
I've seen that. You could honestly, this is a whole other conversation, but you could rattle off every. I've just got. Problem is, I've got my favourite movies and TV shows. And I don't really go too far
Fair
past it,
enough.
unless I'm trying to kiss a crush for the first time.
Well, I have.
Then I might
And they'll be put on in the background.
Yeah.
I love it, boys. You've
thanks, Lodge.
done me proud with the first ever edition of Who You Got. I'm lucky today because all I got is both of you. Well done, boys. I bloody love you. Thanks for coming on.
You're a star,
Mate,
mate.
thank you. And I can't wait till you're hosting game shows because I reckon that's you'll just be the absolute pinnacle at that.
I appreciate it, lads.